Is this thing on? Ezra got sick today, and she was playing with a friend, actually. She had a friend over, and they were playing, and she kind of just came up and laid down on the couch and was really, really out of it. And I could tell just by looking at her that she was sick, so I asked her friend to head home. That kind of, it freaks me out a little bit now when she's sick, because between 2 and 3 years ago, probably about 2.5 years ago now, Ezra was super sick for about 2 months. She didn't eat. Anything she did eat would just come right back up. So she didn't have anything in her body really for most of that time. So she was just constantly throwing up. The doctors put her on a couple of different medications, antibiotics, so you would think that's pretty benign, but we discovered that she's actually allergic to penicillin and penicillin-based antibiotics. And the one she took, I was doing the mom thing and saying, okay, we have to keep taking this medicine even though it's making you sick. It was making her sicker, and she was throwing up even more so. So very little of it actually would get into her. And so the doctors actually gave her something else, and same thing, it didn't really make any difference, but at least it didn't make her more sick. So they had no idea what was going on. We did blood tests and all sorts of things. She ended up basically living on the couch and in our bedroom at night for those couple of months. She would sleep on a cot in our room at night and sleep on the couch during the day. And she would get a fever. She would spike fevers so high. So you think 104 is bad, and we went to the emergency room a few times for that. She would spike fevers of 106 degrees. And I'm the type of person who really believes that fevers are the body's natural way of killing off invaders and killing viruses. But when it gets to 106 degrees, that makes you that makes you scared. So of course we would take her into the emergency room, and basically they would say there's nothing we can do, just let it run its course, and of course comfort measures and all of that. So we would do things like just putting cold cloths on her head, and I would pull the blankets off her feet, and she would be shivering cold, of course, but I would pull the blankets off her feet and just wipe down her feet with a cool cloth, not a cold cloth, but a cool cloth, just to kind of hopefully release some of that heat and bring her temperature down. She would also start to hallucinate. I was on the couch, and I was sitting right in front of her, kind of with my hand on her forehead kind of thing, so like within, a foot of her face, and she looked at me and said, "Mommy, why are you so far away?" And oh my goodness, that was a little bit scary. So she would actually put her hand out and try and reach for me and say, "Why, come back, why are you so far away?" And so after freaking out for a little bit, I Googled it, and that's actually something that happens with high fevers. It's called Alice in Wonderland syndrome, something like that, but where things either seem super close up or really far away when you're spiking a fever like that. It was the craziest thing, and she'd get this glassy look in her eyes, and it happened several times, and every time just scared me to death. But same thing, we'd go back to the doctors, and they had no clue what was going on. She eventually started to get better on her own, and the doctors still never really figured out what was wrong with her. They did, check her white blood cell count, and the day the doctor said her white blood cell count is normal, that was like a huge relief. And they couldn't, I pushed and pushed for them to look for mono. I thought it might be mono. And I kind of still think maybe it was, but they didn't see any evidence of that in her blood tests. They did see that she had strep, but from everything that I can see about strep, and every other kid I've known to have strep, it has not been anywhere near that serious. It really started to hit home when her hair started to grow in again. She obviously wasn't getting any nutrition, and her hair actually stopped growing. And we couldn't tell, of course, at the time, because she still had a full head of hair, long hair. She's always had longish hair, maybe 5 months, 6 months after she was sick. if you looked at her, especially if I pulled her hair back in braid, you would see all these short hairs sticking up by the longer hair, and you could see exactly all those shorter hairs were all exactly the same length. That was pretty sobering. The fact that her hair had stopped growing. We were dealing with something we had no idea what kind of sickness it was, and as much as the doctors think it was strep, that doesn't explain all of it. So times like this, when she starts to get sick again, and especially when her fever starts to climb, when her temperature starts to climb, that's kind of what I go back to, and it's a little bit scary. So as scary as that was, our faith is really in God, the God who created us and who knows us inside and out. And Psalm 139:13 says, "For you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb." So God knows us so intimately. He understands what's going on inside our bodies, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and whatever else. He knows what's going on, and He can heal us. He has the power to do that. And sometimes He does, and He did heal Esri. He took away that sickness. And when she gets sick again, when we're dealing with the fever like this time, He is the one who knows what's going on in her body, and He is the one who knows what she needs to be made well. And we need to place our faith in Him. He knows the end from the beginning. And if He created her, if He created each one of us, then He certainly knows what's best for us.